Hello and welcome back to Beanies in a Pod. Now this time we're doing things a little differently because we recorded our latest episode up in Edinburgh at the MGI Worldwide Partners Conference, where we gave a presentation on how bots and AI are changing accounting. And when we weren't presenting, we were lucky enough to grab time with a couple of their accountants and ask them about their practices and hear some funny stories from their early days. So in this episode, you'll hear from Sarah Squires and how she once vomited in her lunchbox. And you'll hear from Kevin Thomas, who gave us his absolute brilliant best accounting joke ever. Trust me, you've got to hear it. Anyway, once you've listened to the episode, if you'd like to hear more about what we talked about in Edinburgh at the conference, please head over to the Beanies community and search for MGI Edinburgh. Anyway, to all of our guests, to our VIBs, to our listeners, everyone who supported us and our journey and the channel this year, thank you so much. We've had a ton of fun filming these episodes. If you're a bookkeeper or accountant or someone in that industry and you're interested in being a guest maybe in 2024, please do drop us a line to hi, that's hi, at botsforthat.com. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Enjoy the episode. Take care. Fantastic. Right, so we're here at MGI Worldwide and I'm here with
Kevin Thomas.
Mr. Kevin Thomas. He beat me to it. Do you do that with your clients? You give them the answer before they've managed to ask the question. Wow.
It's a technique, that's right.
Years of experience there, I think. So thanks for coming on the podcast quickly. So we normally start this with a bit of an origin story. So we ask the guests to give us your story, how you came to be where you are today, what interesting paths brought you here.
Okay, so I've been in the profession now for 35 years and I did a degree in mathematics and I started off originally working for the Atomic Energy Authority as a computer programmer.
Wow.
Working on a nuclear fusion project.
Maybe.
Which was always a holy grail. And one day, perhaps we'll have nuclear fusion instead of what we currently have for nuclear power.
Yeah.
But it was working for the civil service and the pay rates were pretty poor and it was... just a very institutionalised kind of place to work, and I kind of thought, well, I'll go and do something else. So
more
I chose
dynamic,
accountancy.
easier.
So I thought accountancy's got to be the way forward for me. You see, so I qualified as a chartered accountant.
Yeah.
Found auditing far too exciting.
Oh God, yeah.
I moved into tax and became a tax partner of what was Rickard Luckin, but it's now called Rickard Luckin.
Yeah.
And basically, just grown up, qualified with that particular practice. Been a partner since 1996.
Wow.
And just really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And now I'm a head of one of the business teams there. Got my own team operating mainly on the small and medium-sized businesses. Got a really nice variety of clients, so I've looked after for many years. And you get to the point where you've got people who have worked with you and grown up with you as clients.
Yeah.
And then they become really good friends, and they've got a nice variety of businesses, lots of different interesting things to talk about. And we're based down in Essex, but the clients are all over the place in terms of location. Quite a few up in London, some further afield, some are actually doing work internationally, some just purely in Essex. So yeah, it's an interesting life at the moment.
And interesting things to work on, surely. I mean, where do you... I mean, I guess your role is very heavily on advisory, right? In terms of got to provide guidance and advice on what to do next, what planning-wise, strategy-wise. Is that a lot of the way you spend?
No, that's quite right. I mean, when you first start off in accountancy, you tend to be doing more what we call compliance work.
Yeah.
So you're doing people's accounts, you're doing people's tax returns, and you're almost like a form filler, if you like.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a traditional bean counting kind of thing. But then as you begin to get to know the clients, as you begin to gain experience on the clients, you gain experience generally yourself, and you kind of take up more of a leadership kind of role in the practice. You tend to find your work is shifting far more to advisory now, and that's the way forward. You have to do that, and that's what the interesting work is. Yeah, it's far more interesting talking to someone about perhaps buying a new business to supplement their existing business, and understanding those particular businesses or whatever it may be. Yeah. Rather than just sitting there coming up with a set of accounts from last year, which is never going to be, wow, that's fantastic. That's
so you're
really
more
sexy.
forward looking than backward looking.
It's got to be very much, and it's looking at the big picture. So the size of practice we are and the types of clients we're dealing with, we're looking at the complete client, so to speak. So it's not just about what particular aspect they've got in their business that's actually key at that point in time. It's looking at the bigger picture for them, for what it means from both a personal point of view, from a business point of view, and also looking at the family picture as well.
Right.
So you start talking to them about not just where's the business going in the next 1 or 2 years, but what their goals are, where they want to be in 5, 10, 15 years, so that you can begin to work with them to actually plan it forward.
And do you tend to work with companies that are both lifestyle and longevity and exit, that sort of built for exit?
Very much so.
Yeah.
So we have clients, the oldest one I look after, the family have been using the firm since 1955.
Wow.
So they go back quite a while.
Yeah.
And some of them are brand new startups, so you get a complete mix. So the older one I was just talking about, but now I'm acting for the third generation of that particular family.
Wow.
So the grandfather came up and started with us. So I remember him vaguely from when he was still alive. But he passed it on to his two sons, who have passed it on to the children now. So you have this continuity.
Yeah.
And that business is just going from strength to strength, and it's a serious player. And in the next few years, if everything goes right, they're looking for an IPO on the London Stock Exchange. And
that's when things get really interesting, isn't it?
It gets really interesting. That's right. Yeah. And yet also you do get people coming along who are just startups, and they just want that advice to kind of point them in the right direction. And it's just good fun. It's a bit of a lottery because, of course, some businesses just don't make it. Okay,
it's a high failure rate still, isn't it?
It's a high failure rate. Yeah. That's right. But some of them do incredibly well, and they just have that niche, or they have that USP, which just is there at the right time in the right place, and it actually takes them forward, and they do extremely well.
Yeah. So, is there any particular types of company that you tend to specialise more in?
I suppose quite professional service type firms, the consultancy firms, act for a few legal firms as well. Yeah. We act for a lot of property type businesses. So property is quite widely ranged from construction firms, people who are actually servicing construction firms and the like. So I've got quite a few in that, all the way through to a house builder, and then quite a few people who actually just invest in property. So we look after quite a few property management businesses where they've got significant size portfolios of a mixture of residential, commercial and mixed-use properties. Okay. So it varies a bit. Okay. There's some areas I won't get involved with, and that's not because they're not interesting. It's just because, take for example agriculture. We've got a lot of agriculture clients, but it's quite a specialist field. Yeah. And you can't be a jack of all trades. You've got to be a master of a few. And just work at it like that. Yeah,
that's amazing. So, what sort of pitfalls do companies fall into that you either have to rescue or try and steer them away from?
I think the biggest issue at the moment is interest rates are changing, and therefore people who have not been always that great at managing money, or who have actually taken on a lot of debt, and therefore they're now getting caught up. So interest rates, effectively going from more or less 0.25% base rate all the way up to what it is now. So, 5% increase in base rates, but as a multiple, that's a significant increase. So that's the biggest concern for a lot of businesses, cash flow, and the effect it's having, particularly those in the discretionary consumer field, so, for example. So we have a client who specialised in selling very high-end DAB radios, and the issue they have there, we're coming up to Christmas and they will do okay, but once you get past Christmas, it's a very discretionary product. Yeah. And will the market still be there in the volumes it has been in the past? Yeah. And it's those kind of things. So it's forward thinking in terms of like what's the actual cash flow going to be, and actually getting people to actually prepare realistic forecasts so they can actually manage the future moving forward, rather than going that with their head kind of half under the sand or something like that.
Yeah. So following the autumn statement yesterday, anything jump out for you there? You think, right, I need to get in touch with our clients and advise them accordingly?
Well,
wasn't much in it, I thought, but
there was a lot in it for employees.
Yeah.
So the national insurance change is big thing for employees.
Yeah.
Big thing for self-employed as well, because national insurance changed.
Yeah.
However, in the area I look after, the small and medium-sized business, the issue there is that historically, with those kind of businesses, you tend to have the owners pay themselves a small salary and a large dividend. And it tends to be this dividend-salary mix. Yeah. And over the last 10 years, it's got gradually less attractive
it
to
has,
do
hasn't
that.
it? Yeah.
That's
almost
right.
Disappeared, really, the benefit.
It's almost disappeared.
Yeah.
But the issue was, for those people, there was no saving in the autumn statement.
Yeah.
Because they're not facing the national insurance in the same way or anything.
Yeah.
So they will carry on pretty much as they are.
Yeah.
And also from an employer point of view.
I know, I was disappointed myself. I was thinking, bring the ERS down, bring the national insurance employers down a bit. That would help a lot, because it adds quite a cost onto the cash flow perspective. It can add quite a bit onto the top end of what you're paying out in salaries.
Very much, quite right.
And it didn't come. I was disappointed.
And it didn't come. And I was saying earlier, I look after quite a few consulting type businesses.
Yeah.
So when you have this change about plant and machinery capital allowances, and they're going to keep the £1 million limit in place, well, most consulting businesses now, their kit tends to be a few laptops and
it's nothing really.
Immaterial,
isn't it?
It's immaterial in the big schema.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really, it's flagged up as being some mega benefit, but the vast majority of our clients don't come anywhere close to spending £1 million.
No, I was surprised, I'll be honest with you, because when we are basically a services industry, really, when you look at us, and I was sort of expecting to see a bit more for that side of the industry, but never mind, right. It didn't happen.
That's right.
It is what it is. When you and I run in the country, things will be different, right?
Well, I think it is. I mean, at the end of the day, to my mind, what I would have put in there is something to encourage employers to take on more people.
Exactly.
Okay? And to be able to kind of improve the skilling, improve the training,
indirect growth through the industry and employment. Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that helps in many ways. But I suppose the answer on that at the moment is that because unemployment is relatively low in the big schema, that isn't seen as a mission critical thing.
Yeah.
And being cynical, of course, it's an election coming up within a year. So
which I don't think is necessarily secured with that budget, but there you go. That's not. Besides the point.
No,
so selfishly, I'm not going to ask you for any free advice, right? But we're a small and high tech, high growth company. We're just about to go into our first round of external funding, VC or otherwise, actually maybe potentially from some large accounting firms as well, because of what we do. Things to think about, things to look out for. What would you tell me if I was coming to you as a client?
Well, I think what you really want to do, is knowing who your investors potentially might be. So you want people to come in, third-party investors, or do you want people who are within the business at the moment who actually want to invest in the business? So if you're talking about people within the business, there are some very good share-related kind of schemes to kind of encourage people to buy into the business and to stay with the business, if you like, to share in the future success of the business. So you've got the EMI scheme, for example. So it's being aware of those kinds of schemes and what the tax consequences on that and the benefits of actually doing it properly to make sure you tick all the boxes with HMRC.
It's a lot of boxes as well, isn't there?
Right. There are a lot of boxes, and of course there's professional fees in doing it, but if you do it for the right reasons, you can actually attract people and it can work really well. If you're doing it in terms of third-party investors coming in, then things like the EIS scheme is worth thinking about as well, because a third-party investor coming in, if you can have some tax benefits attached to it, such that they get income tax relief when they actually make the investment, or they get capital gains tax deferral relief, or something like that, they can make it really attractive. So it's being aware of the tax breaks which are out there. But equally, don't get too focused on the tax breaks. You've got the commercial side of it, and it's all the other things.
And it's a balance, isn't it, as well?
It's getting that balance. That's right.
Difficult to do, isn't it? Yeah.
So we have an expression which is, don't let the tax tail wag the tax.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You've got to get that thing right and put it in perspective. And some people are too tax focused, and they don't see the bigger picture. and you don't want to miss that.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Fantastic. We're still okay on time, Bill? 13 minutes. All right. What was our limit? 15, was it? Oh, okay. Just checking, because I'm into this conversation and I could run away with myself. So I'm dying to hear then. So you've been in the business for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to hear some interesting stories about the past, without embarrassing. You don't have to name anybody.
No. At the end of the day, we've got fantastic range of clients, and you find some clients who you really love, and some
you really love a little less.
Some you love a little less. But it's also about interesting kind of things. So I've got a really nice client on the South Coast who. Very unique. They run a chain ferry down in the southwest, and in order to put their fares up, you can't just put your fares up because they're a company that are incorporated by their own Act of Parliament.
Right.
We have to have a formal public inquiry every time that we want to actually put the fares up. So I've been involved with this client for many years now, and we're just coming up to our 5th public inquiry. So we have it every 3 to 4 years. And it's fantastic fun because you go along and you have to face questioning from the opposition, so to speak. So all the local councils, they bring up their barristers and they go through all the forecasts you've done and they question you on it. And then members of the public can have their say and they ask questions of you and the like. And you are just thinking on your feet all the time. Obviously, you come well prepared.
Yeah.
But it's just.
How do you prepare for something like that, though?
Well, you've got to.
I guess experience is one thing, but
experience, you're quite right. But we prepare forecasts looking forward as to what's the cash flow impact's going to be and everything else, and obviously you know those inside out. So you're quite well paced with that.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm now on to the 5th public inquiry, you do get a kind of a flavour for what kind of questions people ask. So, for example, there's at the last one, there's a local hotel, and they were objecting to a 50p increase in the toll fare. And our barrister got up and he said, well, that's absolutely fine, totally understand, blah, blah, blah. What's the average price you charge for a hotel room in your hotel? And I said, well, it's about £425. And the barrister just turns around and says, well, so your clients are going to really be fazed by a 50p increase in the toll. And it's that kind of
mentality,
that you deal with. And it's just good fun. Okay.
I'm sure they don't see it that way.
They don't see
I'm sure
it
they
like
see
that.
it deadly serious, don't they?
And then we have another one where we used to tease our juniors because when they first started, we had the audit of a cemetery. And it was quite convenient that the year end for the cemetery was 31st of October, which is Halloween. So we used to kind of tease them along to say, well, we have to go and do a stock take and check the work in progress on the 31st of October and just see where it's going. And we just have to count the number of gravestones that are there today compared with last year.
You didn't hand them a shovel, no?
And well, no, you just get them just check, and if there are only half dug, just to make a note of it. And some of them get rather worried about that, but that's just accountant's black humour.
Absolutely.
Like.
What's your? I have to ask you then. We do every Friday. We have a little community and we do a post and we have a Friday joke. What's your best accounting joke?
No, that's a hard one. No, I don't think I've got a quick accounting joke. I've got a longer accounting joke.
We've got time.
Okay. Well, the longer one is about the lady who went to the doctor. And they had a consultation, and the doctor said, I've got some really bad news. You're only going to survive for another 6 months. And clearly she was most shaken by this, you see. And after a little while, she composed herself. And she said, well, is there anything I can do? And he said, well, look, you're not married. He said, go and marry a chartered accountant. And she kind of looked at him rather quizzically and said, why? What's that? He says, you're not going to survive any longer, but it will seem like a lifetime.
That one's going in the community at some point. Thank you for that. Is that good, Phil? You happy with what you got? Fantastic. It's the best way to end it. Kevin, ever so much thanks for coming in to speak to us today. It's been an absolute pleasure and nice getting an insight into your world. And I'm sure the listeners and the followers will enjoy that one. So thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it. Take care. We're here at MGI Worldwide again. And we're here with Sarah Squires. Absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us. We normally start off our podcast like this with a bit of an origin story So it's your chance to tell us all about you. Where were you since the age of 6? Sweets that you enjoyed, things like that, all the way through your accounting career. How you got to where you are today?
Okay, so start from the beginning.
Absolute beginning, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe after school. Maybe let's leave school first. And yeah.
Okay, so I did aerospace engineering at university.
Flipping heck.
So
that sounds complicated.
Considering I was never really academic, I got just about enough to get.
Were you
into
just not
university.
academic, or were you just not interested or bored? Maybe.
I had other things going on that were more interesting. I was actually an army cadet.
Oh, excellent.
And that kind of took over because there's a lot of adventure training. I made it up to sergeant major, so I was doing parades and things.
Blimey.
And so I wasn't really concentrating on A-levels. But I still managed to get into university because I grew up on the Isle of Wight.
Oh, wow. My mum lives there now.
Oh, does she? Really? Yeah. When you're older, you have an appreciation for it. When you're younger, you don't. And you want to get off.
I noticed that when I went there.
Yes. Yeah, so it was either join the army or go to university.
Right.
And so I chose to go to university.
And which one did you go to?
Kingston.
Okay.
So it used to be a polytechnic, but it
Okay.
was a university when I went there.
Fantastic.
So chose engineering because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Apart from being an adventure training instructor, which I thought wasn't going to be the best career choice.
Oh, but how exciting!
I would have had fun.
Yeah, definitely.
So I thought engineering will give me a nice round, and I can decide from there.
Yeah.
So I got a job at Hawker Pacific, which is part of Lufthansa.
Okay.
Designing repairs for tracks and carriages and landing gear.
Wow.
After 2 years, I was a little bit bored. And I thought, really, so this is now my life. I can come to work, I do my job, I go home. And guess what? I thought, no, accountancy, how much more exciting
Yeah, I
does
know,
that
this is not boring
sound?
enough.
And it actually just came about because one of my best friends from university, who did engineering as well, she had got a job, a trainee job, in accountancy in a firm.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, I've mentioned you, why don't you come and work here if you're bored? You can do training, they'll pay for you to do study. She's like, it's a great career. She's very sensible. It's a great career. They always need accountants. You'll have a good salary.
Not wrong.
I was like, okay. Yeah, that sounds tempting.
Yeah.
So I went for the interview for a job that there wasn't a job for. Got this no job. Went back to my boss in engineering and said, oh, this is what I'm going to do now. They said, oh, are you sure that's the right choice? You could be an accountant with us. Why don't you become an accountant? Oh, I don't know now. I've got to make a decision.
So many choices.
Too many choices. Accountancy, engineering.
Wow.
And so I chose practice. So I went into the new job. Shortly after starting, most of the other team left.
Nothing to do with you.
I think it wasn't to do with me. So I was working directly with the partner. Pretty early on, which was great for me. He was such a great mentor, and I learnt so much from him. He's no longer with us, but the work ethic, the way to do things, and the way not to do things, the way to listen. He was very considered. I just learnt a lot of bad habits as well, because we talk about now balance of work life, and there definitely was more of a work balance than a life balance. But you grew up with that, and that's what you accepted, and it made me who I am. I just now have to pull back and go, that's not how it needs to be. You
Change
can get
is hard,
people,
isn't it?
It is hard. So it's having that feeling that you can still be good. You don't have to work really long hours, and it's trying to appreciate the other qualities in people. And
do you still enjoy it though? The same.
Do I enjoy it?
Yeah. Do you still enjoy it?
I love the client, so the best bit for me is all of the client work. So all of the other bits, doing the accounts, doing the audit, tax, I can, it does itself, but it's the client meetings, it's going out and meeting with the clients, and I now deal with a lot of families, and I've probably dealt with them for sort of 15 years or so now. And it's those bits, and I work with the solicitors, and sometimes you feel like you're more
part of their business.
Part of their business, because you're not just helping them with accountancy stuff. You end up talking through HR issues, software, how they're doing things.
Do you find you become almost the de facto CFO, really? in many ways, and the CFO in most organisations pretty much is responsible for so many things now, aren't they?
Yeah, you do, and you're a bit of a mediator as well, because you're delivering news sometimes, especially if it's a family business.
Yeah.
You're delivering news that one family member doesn't want to necessarily give to another family member.
Yeah.
So you're either the bad guy or the good guy, whichever way you want to look at it.
Or both at the same time.
Yeah, and trying to be very diplomatic about it. So I think that's sort of the skills that you pick up along the way, that yes, we're accountants.
Yeah.
And we do all the technical stuff, and if we don't do it, we know the right people within our businesses or our network to seek help from. But it's more than that. You are part of people's businesses, and they're relying on you to just be a sounding board sometimes. Yeah,
so you become counsellor, diplomat, peacemaker, politician. You become everything, don't you?
It is a bit, IT experts. Miraculously somehow.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it, when you sit down and do your studies of that stuff, you never think that's what you're going to be doing. You never think it, because I studied my accounts, and I there was a light bulb moment for me when I sat down my first one and I saw this. The double entry account, and we were actually carrying. I missed a few classes, and don't read anything into that. But I missed a few classes for whatever reason, and I came in depreciation, and I heard these two words: permanent diminution in value, and I was like, "Wow, what's that?" And I was hooked from that point on. It sounds really sad, but that was where I got hooked from that point on, and I couldn't look back.
Yeah. Well, it took me a long time to even know what debits and credits were, because I had no accountancy background at all, and I was out on audits. And I do remember coming back from one audit where I'd been taken out and then left there. Didn't know what a debit or credit was. I'm doing this audit. I'm feeling really stressed because I don't like letting people down. I really struggle with feeling like I'm doing a bad job and letting people down. Yeah. And so I'm driving in my car. I've got my lunchbox next to me at the A3 M25 junction. And I was just sick in my lunchbox. I was like, I'm sick. What do? I can't stop. I can't pull over anywhere. So I literally opened my lunchbox, put the lid back on. And
was your lunch still on it?
No.
Oh, thank God for that.
No, it was the end of the day.
Thank God.
It was the end of the day. So that's probably one of the most stressful moments.
Wow. And that's the thing, that's where you learn, isn't it? You're in at the deep end. That's where the real learning starts.
Yeah. I think it's determination, not giving up. I don't like to give up. And I think probably a lot of accountants are like that. You want to find a solution. Yeah. Oh, definitely. So, you carry on going until you find that solution. Yeah.
Were there any areas that so you got moved around, obviously, in different parts of the audit and learning different things. Is there one area that you liked more than others in those early days?
Probably the audit, because you are making solutions and answering puzzles, and so that it's probably that side of it, because you're trying to find those solutions for people, and if you do find something wrong, why is it wrong? How can we make it so that it doesn't go wrong again? And I think auditors do have an inbuilt knack of finding those things that are wrong.
They do. Yeah, for good reasons and wrong. Because one of the things that I often talk to accountants about is that now the next generation that's coming through, because when you and I did these sorts of things, it was a baptism. You had to sit there for hours, you had to do the ticking and bashing and the reviewing and reams of paper, and it's a different world we're coming into now. Everything's digital. The challenges are different, their interests are different, their motivations are different. Do you find, are you spending any time with new people coming in, young people coming into the practice and seeing their very different approach to things?
Yeah, so in our firm there's 30 of us in total, including the partners. Yeah. And I take more of the managing partner role, so I have a big client portfolio to look after, but I'm also looking after the people. Yeah. And that is probably one of the most time-consuming bits, whether it's looking after the partners and getting us all to try and be on the same page, or whether it's the trainees coming through the door. Yeah. And you do find as you get older, you look at them and go,
I was never like that.
They're too young to work. Look how young they are. Yeah. But they've come from A-levels or they've come from degree. So we work quite closely with our trainees, I would say, and try and lead by example, because I do try to instill in them that nothing's below them, that we're all the same, and we should all be helping each other. And yes, we'll have our specialities and our time will be spent best on certain things, but it doesn't mean that we can't help out if we need to. And so working quite closely with them, and they are a lot more tech savvy, so we have only literally now have paperless working papers for accounts. Okay. So audit has been paperless for a long time. Accounts files have not. No. And it's one of the other things that I do is deal with a lot of the software side.
Okay.
And when I say dealing with the software, I'm trying to spot the areas where we should be automating or doing things slightly differently.
Okay.
And paperless files was one of them, because as partners, we're comfortable. We have our file, we look through it, we can take it home.
Yeah.
It's a little comfort blanket that we can hug. But the youngsters, they just want to do everything on the computers. They don't
iPad.
they don't need a file.
No.
So they were really happy once it was finally implemented, and they were like, this is going to save so much time. But not only that, it's much more of a job satisfaction, rather than going, oh no, they've done my review points and I've got to reprint all of these papers. There's none of that. It's like, oh good, I recognise I've made these errors, just need to go on the system, change them, and that's it. I think so. It's the satisfaction that it gives as well, and takes away those rubbish tasks that actually people don't want to do.
No. I always found as well, when I was coming up, when technology's come a long way in 20 years, phenomenal way, but I always find that we spent 80% of our time just trying to produce the numbers, and what little time we had left was then to do the analysis, the actual important work. Because everything else was just what's already happened, but to make sense of what happened and then communicate that to people who can make decisions on it. And I'm finding with the technology we've got, that balance is now shifting the other way, so that everything else is almost up to date and done, so you get so much more time to do the actual interpretation, the understanding, and then, as you said, speaking to clients, working with people to run the businesses.
I think it's making your team confident that there is more to their job, and actually they can speak to people about these numbers, because automating things and having cash flows that are automated rather than ones where you're going into Excel. So your achievement is that I've done the cash flow. Your achievement isn't talking about that cash flow. And I think some of it is that training that this technology is coming and we need to embrace it.
It's here already.
It's a good thing, because it means that you've got skills that you aren't using. But it's given people the confidence to be able to do that.
Are you finding then that, given that shift, that you need to develop what we call, I hate the term, but the softer skills? Do you find that you need to develop them in your trainees more so than you did when we did it?
Yes. I think you do.
Yeah. What sort of what's been your exposure so far to the likes of automation and AI and things like ChatGPT? Have you been experimenting in that space?
Yes, and I got it to write the policy for using AI and then went through and edited it, because some of the team were starting to use it. And it was right, I'm happy for you to use this. It's great and we can explore it, but we need to have boundaries and guidelines, and we don't know enough about it yet. We need to learn more. And so I was circulating some of the training videos, and I think Microsoft might have done, or Google were doing some training on it as well, which I sent around to a few of the staff members that were sort of showed an interest in that. It
can be, in those terms, a little bit like the blind leading the blind sometimes, because they're still, and it's so in its infancy. I guess the thing that we're speaking to different firms and practices when we go around, some of them are either using it or they've completely locked it down and forbidden anyone from using it, because ultimately when they suddenly find out that actually anything they put in does ultimately end up in some sort of database server in California somewhere, that they instantly get very frightened about that. Is that something you've again put into your policy and thought about?
I mean, we've got all of our staff are professional people, and I just trust in them that they understand the risks, and the policy that the system wrote for me, that I then edited, covers those sorts of things. So you can use this, but do not use any client names, any client data. If you are going to be putting numbers into it to see what it can do, do that, but just don't associate it with clients. Just use your common sense and think about it. Would you put your own personal information in there and
yes, probably yes, because they've grown up thinking they can. I mean, honestly, everyone's personal data is already everywhere, so it's almost a non-event now. So when you've have you thought about what the potential is for your practice and what you do in terms of, you started to notice, well, actually, we could probably do a lot more things there?
Yes, I've thought about it, but the subject is just so huge.
Yeah.
And I've watched a few of the YouTube videos with all of these add-ons. My husband's particularly interested in it as well, and he's going to watch this video, look at this link, look at this add-in.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have the brain capacity to look at that on a
With your background in aerospace
Friday.
engineering, I doubt that.
Oh, I've got a lot going on at work.
Fair enough. You don't want to throw up in your lunchbox again, do you? Let's face it.
So I think there's a huge amount of potential, and we definitely need to embrace it. But I think, especially accountants, there's just so much. And actually, how much time do you spend looking at it?
Yeah.
And also, a lot of these things can cost. So you've got these add-ons, and actually, what are they saving? What benefit are you getting from it in comparison?
Totally. We're presenting here tomorrow, and one of the things I say is you start with a why. You've got to have a why for AI.
Yeah.
And if you have a clear why, then you can build on something. One of the things you might look at later on, we can talk about later, but is your own data models, because you can use the power of the open AI type technologies, but it's all your own data within your own system. So there's a better way of doing it that gives you more control, but that's something to look at. But I'm still, I can't get the throwing up in the lunchbox out of my head still. So,
sorry.
No, it's brilliant. I loved also the fact that there's a critical person that became your, that mentor, that first person you had, because I identify with that too. There was someone in my career early on, and to this day I still remember there was like rules and law, and like the laws of William that we had written down, that was his name. Yeah. And I still live by them. It's crazy, but you just can't get away from them. No. Did you have anything like that?
Well, only little things, sort of when he would say things in Latin or audit and audio to listen. And
I love that.
You become a good auditor because you listen. You're not just talking or you've got your ears closed. You're listening to what's going on around you. Yeah. And that's what I think is so important. And that's why I quite like everybody being around and these sorts of conferences, and also having people in the office. We make trainees come in, so they can have work from home, but every now and again, because I think you just learn, kind of like AI really, is we all learn from listening to each other, and if you're away in a room on your own, completely. How are you learning, how are you developing? Yeah.
And it's actually all the informal things, it's all you ask a quick question across the partition or whatever, because I was talking to another friend of ours, Rob Bill, who works in Essex in a firm. And it was the same sort of thing when COVID happened. He said they couldn't wait to get back to the office because they were missing out on all those just small conversations that added much more to their day and to their week. Yeah. And they're just missing out on those. I'm really glad to hear that you're bringing people into the office, because I'm the same sort of way. We're in the office at least 3 days a week, if not. I'm in every single day because I can't work from home. I can't work from home. I've tried it. I spent too many days, probably like yourself, but in an actual office, and I can't do the home thing. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Well, you're not. People aren't learning from you, and you're not learning from them. No. We're learning all the time. Yeah. And you also don't know what the problems are if people are ferried away. So you need to know what's going on and what potential problems you might have.
Very true.
So that you can preempt them and deal with them.
Yeah. So what's a typical day, month, year end sort of thing for you? What type of things do you normally spend time at helping your clients with?
It can be all sorts really, because I've got such a big varied client base. So if you take something like audits, it's trying to be proactive before the year end, just to touch base. Is everything going to be okay? What's the deadlines looking like for after the year end? Anything we can help with? Yeah. So that's sort of a key bits at the moment, because we have a lot of December year ends.
Oh wow, that's not good.
No, and other bits, it's actually throughout the year. So it's just being there and
being present.
Yeah, being present. And I think you get the best connection when you're meeting with people. So also just trying to mentally make sure that the value is in you just going out and having a coffee or a lunch with people as well, and going out and touching base with them. Yeah. I probably waste my most time on emails. And I think that probably is somewhere that AI can help. Yeah. Because I get so many emails a day, and sometimes you're just copied in on them, and other ones it's really sort of simple replies that could probably be generated somehow, ready for you to review and click send, and add your personal bit. So emails, in comparison to when we would have started, when most of it was letters, with the letters you could concentrate a lot more in your day, because the post came in. Yeah. You went in your post book, you did the post, you sent it out. You had a good couple of days at least before you got a reply.
Yeah.
Not instant, where you're you're doing something and an email pops up. You just find yourself wasting so much time being inefficient because of email.
It's a terrible thing, isn't it? We'll make a note, Phil. We'll find a fix for that.
I'm sure there's got to be something out there.
There are.
If not, there will be very soon.
There are. Yeah. We're going to go and build it tomorrow.
It is, because you just waste, and especially as a partner, you do waste so much time on emails.
Yeah. So, what are the big things that's happening right now with everything that's going on in the world? What's happening in our economy? We've just had an autumn statement. What sort of things are you now starting to think? Right, I need to get in touch with our clients in the next few weeks to start working on these types of things. What tends to happen?
For me and my client base, I wouldn't say it's necessarily anything that's come out of the budget.
No, well, probably
and
for most people.
I haven't even had a chance to read all the detail.
Yeah. It's not much.
No, is it not? Well, no. I was just reading something about the cash basis and letting self-employed individuals and partnerships account on a cash basis rather than the accruals basis.
Okay.
And that, with the change in basis periods that we've got coming as well, I think that's just going to get really complicated for people. For me, it's still just being on hand, really, and having those meetings and those touch points, because all of the clients are so individual that actually saying, I'm going to just do this, and that's going to be my mission. The mission is making sure that you stay in contact with people, so that they know that, actually, I've got this I needed to discuss with you, or I've been thinking about this, and you don't know about these things unless you're speaking with your clients, and emails don't cover that. Freeing up more time, actually, so that you can
more value adding. Do you find any of your clients or that you worked with in the past that are going into acquisition mode, or being acquired, or going to taking on board external investment, things like that?
We're seeing a lot more around share structuring now. And whether it's trying to tie in key employees and doing sort of the employee share ownership schemes, or whether it's looking to exit and thinking, right, how can we do this? Can the business buy itself effectively, the employees buy itself, or getting it ready for acquisition? So I've got a largish group, or two groups really, that are looking to sell in the near future. Okay,
so we're a growing high-tech, high-growth industry. We're bringing in our first investors at the moment, so without getting any free advice, I would take advantage.
And I'm not a tax expert.
Thinking forward, with what you know, give me top 3 things that you to look out for, think about. Do you think? What would you say?
Well, I think staff is still a key issue. So it's ways to tie in staff so that as a business owner, you still are feeling the benefit of that business, and you're not just giving everything away, because as a business owner you're putting a lot of your time, effort, and sometimes money as well, and risk and family life into these businesses, but equally allowing employees to feel like they're part of that is quite key. So the employees, I would say technology as well, which is easy for you guys.
Well, I wouldn't say easy. Things are simple but never easy.
No. So technology is huge, and it will change the landscape, and it's accepting that change. And maybe the third is change, and that embracing change, and it's not a scary thing, whether it's a change in ownership, whether it's a change in the family dynamics, or just a change in the work that you're doing because of technology or the way that employees want to work, and not being afraid of it, and actually we're finding solutions, and that's what we do anyway as accountants and business owners, is we find solutions.
And last one, work with your local accountant. Right?
Yes,
got to be in there somewhere.
I'll go with that one.
Are we doing okay for time, Phil? Yeah, good. So what I want to finish up on, and we did the same thing with Kevin before you, but your best or favourite you've ever heard accounting joke?
Oh no.
Yes.
He warned me I'd have to do. I'm rubbish at jokes. My jokes stretch as far as, what did the big chimney say to the little chimney? You're too young to smoke. That's as far as my jokes go. I have no jokes. Sorry.
Oh God. We'll leave that one in. Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for coming to talk to us today. Really appreciate your time. I'll see you tomorrow on stage, or you'll see me, but I'll try and pick you out in the crowd and friendly face. Yeah, do. Just stand up and woo, give me a bit of that and encourage me. So again, thanks ever so much for your time, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Brilliant.
I look forward to the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.